What you see before you are two dehydration pans, 12 ounces each of butternut squash puree. Now this was butternut chunks, raw, about half hour ago. They were washed, just what water would cling to the chunks, put in a bowl, and microwaved for a grand total of 18 minutes till it was soft enough to puree. It is unadulterated in any way, shape, or form. It is just butternut squash with a little water. And I mean very little. Might be a total of 2 tablespoons, just what would cling to the chunk. It started off as 30 ounces of chunks. I weighed them. It now weighs 24 ounces total after being cooked. Or just a whisker under. Not enough to talk about. And we'll let you know what it weighs after the next step, after it's been dehydrated. Wait till you see what I do to it then. I'll bring you back in a day or two when I take that next step. Well, good morning. How do you know when your butternut squash puree is ready to move on to the next step? Well, you pick up a piece of it and you try and flex it. And if it doesn't snap like that, with a satisfying snap like that, then it's not ready. See, what I did last night, and I didn't bring you along for that part, is I scraped up the puree. See, that one just pliable. Well, that one had a satisfying snap. What I did was I scraped it off the jelly rolls, and then I put it back in the dehydrator while it was still very rubbery. But I didn't bring you along for that part. That was just a lot of extra work. Now, so now you're asking, okay, Imperato, why are we breaking this into a food processor bowl? And this is not a typical food processor. This is the kind that goes with a hand blender. Nope. See, here's the hand blender motor that goes with this. Okay, now there are other parts, but this is the one I use the most on that motor. And otherwise it has a blade in the bottom of the bowl. Nope. And these are the ones that are not giving me a satisfying snap. And they will go back on the back on the dehydrator for a while. And then this will get pureed, processed into a powder, and weighed again. Well, what I started out with was 30 ounces of raw, busted up butternut squash. That's how I received it. It's already chunked up in chunks. You all have seen how I prefer to use butternut squash. Stuffing it, but doesn't mean I don't have other ways of using it. And what's left here all has satisfying snap and crunch to it when I break it. So we'll just sweep it into the food processor bowl, and I'll bring you back in a minute. Better. Now we can see my purple beastie, and we're going to use this bottom button. Whoops. And what we have, well, almost, it's getting there. Still needs some more processing. Didn't have the motor all the way down in first time. And well, I'm going to put this back on the dehydrator and let it dehydrate for a while, because that may not have been completely dry. But it's starting to look like what I want it to look like, and that's going to be powder when I'm done with it. Forgive the delay. In your eyes, a few seconds has passed, but in TV time, a real half hour has passed. This is, after all, a real working kitchen. Made my breakfast, got the rest of this, got that needed to go back on the dehydrator, back on and running. Now we're going to put this on here. Oh, excuse me, boys and girls. Here's the finished product on the squash. Okay, 30 ounces raw uncooked, cooked to puree consistency, brought it down to 24, dehydrated and ground. And I will be honest, in the grinding process, I didn't use a coffee mill, so it's not perfectly powdered, but it's pretty close. And because of the device I used, I probably lost a few grams that escaped as a powder in the air. But 3 ounces, give or take a couple of grams, close enough, from 30 raw. Now I've made a notation here for myself for later. Now 3 ounces from 24 ounces cooked, at least 21 ounces of water was removed. So I've notated on the bag for myself to start with 15 ounces of boiling water and add if needed from there to reconstitute this into squash. But I have other plans for this. This will be added to soups and that sort of thing. And as such, a powder that will absorb moisture, this will help thicken soup. And that's one more for the bag, as it were. Peace out. By the way, don't forget to